Have you ever noticed this, na something uncertain happens, maybe about your health, your finances, your business, your family, and your mind immediately goes to, what if the worst happens? What if this goes wrong? What if I'm not ready? And once it starts, parang ang bilis lumala, from one thought to another, until suddenly you're no longer just thinking. You're already feeling the fear, even if nothing has happened yet. If you've experienced this episode is for you. Because when the mind keeps going to worst case scenarios, it feels like you're preparing. But most of the time, you're just creating unnecessary suffering. Most of us were taught that when life gets harder, the answer is to think harder. But many of the biggest breakthroughs in my life didn't come from thinking more. They came from understanding the mind and learning how to quiet it. If you're a business owner, leader, or professional dealing with stress, uncertainty, and the challenges that come with growth, you're in the right place. In this podcast, I share realizations about life, work, and the mind, and how quieting the mind helps us think more clearly, make better decisions, and take focused, effective action. Welcome to Realizations with Clarissa. I've seen this pattern in many people, especially those who are responsible, who care deeply, who want to be ready for anything. Their mind is always scanning, looking for risks, looking for what could go wrong, trying to stay one step ahead. And again, this sounds like strength. It feels like awareness, like protection, being prepared. But here's what most people don't notice. There's a difference between seeing a risk and living inside it mentally. And you might recognize this in your own thoughts. Now, what if this is really serious? What if things get worse? What if I can't handle it? What if this affects everything? And your mind keeps building the story, adding more details, more scenarios, more outcomes. And the more real it feels, the more your body reacts. Here's the part most people don't realize. Your mind is not trying to hurt you. It's actually trying to protect you. And it believes that if it can imagine the worst case scenario, you'll be more prepared, more in control. But the problem is this. Your body can start to respond as if it's real. So even if the situation hasn't happened, you start feeling the stress, the fear, the tension, as if it's already real. I remember working with someone who was going through a health condition. And nung mag-usap kami, the stress was too much for her. Di siya makatulog for several weeks. Her mind was constantly going to worst case scenarios. Iniisip niya yung anak niya na minor pa, na sino mag-aalaga sa kanya, pag wala na ako. She was thinking about her husband who was also not in good health. Anong mangyari sa kanya kapag wala na ako? And things like that. Her mind was trying to solve everything all at once. Future after future, scenario after scenario. And it became overwhelming. And during our session, hindi naman namin binago yung diagnosis. We didn't remove the uncertainty. But something changed. She started to see that her mind was trying to carry everything all at once. The future, the possibilities, the responsibilities. And in that moment, she realized something simple. That her job right now is to take care of herself and to enjoy her days with her son and her husband. After a few weeks, she shared with me that the session helped a lot. Kasi she noticed that she was not feeling the same level of stress about her health situation anymore. Nothing external changed yet, but internally she felt lighter. She could sleep better, and that made it easier for her to go through that period. And I also worked with another person who was about to go into surgery. She had a tumor. And she didn't know if it was benign or malignant. So naturally, her mind was going to worst case scenarios. She was worried, nervous, scared, thinking about what could happen. And again, we didn't change the situation. The surgery was still happening. The uncertainty was still there. But after our session, she said that she felt very calm. She noticed she was not feeling the same level of fear anymore about the operation or the results. In fact, napansin daw ng doctor niya na she seemed calm and stable going into the procedure. And this is the most important part. Nothing external changed. Hindi nagbago yung diagnosis, nandyan pa rin yung surgery, the uncertainty didn't change. What changed was how they felt about the worst case scenarios. Because here's the truth. Worst case scenarios are endless. If your mind wants to go there, it will always find something to think about, to worry about. And your peace can come from not carrying all of them at the same time. Now, some people might think, kailangan kong pag-isipan ang mga bagay na to. I need to be prepared. And that's true. But there's a difference between preparing and mentally living in the worst case. Kasi preparation happens in the present moment, whereas yung worrying pulls you into imagined futures na actually nakakatakot. So here's a simple shift you can try. The next time your mind goes to worst case scenarios, pause ka muna and ask yourself, is this happening right now? If not, notice what your mind is imagining and gently bring your attention back to what's needed now. Maybe you need to rest. Maybe you need to do something else. You can also try this, that when your mind is racing, bring your attention to your body, your breath, your surroundings, the present moment. Not to suppress your thoughts, but to remind yourself that you are here, not in that scary future. And this matters a lot because when your mind is constantly in worst case mode, naubos ang energy mo. You lose your clarity, your ability to respond well. But when your mind settles, even in the middle of uncertainty, you can function better. You make better decisions. You show up better for yourself and for others. And you can actually have time for what really matters. If this is something you recognize in yourself and you feel like your mind has been carrying too much, you don't have to go through it alone. Because sometimes it's not about changing the situation. It's about changing how you experience it. If you want support with that, you can book a coaching consultation with me. One-on-one coaching is the fastest path to transforming the deep-seated patterns that dictate how you show up in both your life and your work. We will look at what's been creating that mental load and help you start experiencing that change from fear and tension to something lighter, even in the middle of uncertainty. The link is in the description. Kung nakaka-relate ka sa episode na to, follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And if you know someone who might find this helpful, feel free to share it with them. And thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode of Realizations with Clarissa. And keep building your mental fitness. Because a stronger mind helps us live better and work better.